Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Parents of young children with special educational needs say they are frequently being physically restrained in school. Critics of the practice argue that restraint is being used as a way to control children's behaviour instead of teachers supporting their needs. The Department for Education has promised to publish long-awaited guidelines for schools soon. It's seen as a much-needed step to protect some of the most vulnerable children. Anya Pop has this special report.
It's been described as an abuse of human rights.
To see my son being held on the floor, I can't understand how they thought that was right.
Children with special needs as young as 5, routinely physically restrained in schools. The impact can be long-lasting.
That was quite a few years ago now, and still I live with the effects and the trauma from that.
Garrick was 5 when he was restrained on several occasions at his mainstream school. He was struggling to communicate, something that was later diagnosed as autism. It wasn't just the restraint that upset his mum, Viv. The situation was made worse, she says, by not always being told when or for how long.
And I put on the 5th. Garrick was in a lot of pain yesterday, complaining of pain in the legs. Any problems, please ring me. I didn't know that she'd held him using her feet.
At the moment, there's no legal requirement to tell parents if their child is restrained in school. Viv only found out the true extent after obtaining school records and speaking to Garrick.
When we asked him about the restraint, to be honest with you, there were so many, he didn't know which one were meant. The only thing he said was, one grabbed one arm and leg, the other one grabbed the other arm and leg, and the person from behind pushed his head forward, so he couldn't see anybody. He said he'd left the classroom, he ran and he hid, but they found him. I feel so guilty about, because I left him. You know, I walked away, I said, oh, you know, I was assured it was 5 minutes. I didn't realise it'd been there 50 minutes.
The government promised to give clarity on the use of restraint in English schools 4 years ago, and those working in education say it's now desperately needed. Current guidelines say restraint should only be used as a last resort if a child is a danger to themselves or those around them, and never as a punishment. But parents say at the moment restraint is misused and overused.
Some people, it is needed because there isn't anything else they can do and it's the best thing for that person. But I think some people, I think it is wrong. Even now, like the effects of people restraining me, it makes me very fearful of other people.
Kirsty has autism. She struggled at school and was restrained on numerous occasions. It's been a decade since the first time it happened, but the memory is still vivid.
There was 2 ladies like holding my arms, and then there was another lady holding my legs. So it was it was quite scary. I just wanted to go and like hide, but they just wouldn't let go of me. But this made me more angry, so there wasn't really much point on keep holding me down all the time. Because then I had this like fear, and I didn't want to be at school at all because I was scared that they were going to restrain me again.
Schools are not obliged to collect data on the number of children restrained in their care, but a report published earlier this year asked parents of children with special needs across the UK for their input. Of those who responded, almost 90% said their child had experienced physical restraint at school. Over a third said it happened regularly. We've been given updated figures and found that of over 1,000 reports of restraint, almost half were on children below the age of 10. At the Calthorpe Academy Special School in Birmingham, they wanted to tackle the issue head-on. They say a change in their approach saw an 83% drop in the use of restraints in a year.
Charles, what would you like? Charles, what's this? Mushroom. Mushroom, put it in.
Because we're meeting their needs more, we see less behaviours in the children. If they want something, they're more able to tell us. A lot of the children can show like OCD behaviours, such as banging on the furniture, turning plugs on and off, wanting to leave the classrooms. But now it's a lot. In my class, it's a lot more settled.
The behaviour in the school can still be challenging. But their emphasis is now on preventing meltdowns, which may have previously ended in a restraint being used.
Why do you think restraint is used elsewhere?
Sometimes it's a quick fix, sometimes it's a lack of training, not knowing what to do. Often it's perhaps around a culture that exists in a school, but basically we know that by really understanding their needs and what they're trying to communicate and what the function is of their behaviour, that we can dramatically reduce the need for physical intervention.
We know that staff don't get up in the morning and go to work in the school in order to cause long-term harm to children. The vast majority of them want to provide good support and to make a positive difference to those children's lives. So we just feel there's a desperate need for some guidance. That requires an infrastructure and that does need to be properly funded and supported.
Garrick schools say they have since changed their approach to special educational needs, but Viv felt the damage was done.
I don't suppose any parent with a child with a diagnosis that we've got would say that life is a breeze and you don't have issues, because you do. But you don't go around doing that to people and lying to their parents, and you want accountability.
Since that breakdown in trust, Viv decided to pull Garrick and her other autistic son out of school.
Homeschooling to special needs children is really hard. So,
The government says it's committed to publishing its guidelines soon, a step, it's hoped, to better supporting some of the most vulnerable and challenging children.
Anya Pop reporting.